Hey everybody, my name is Sharon Quinn. I'm also known as the original runway diva, and you are watching Model Behavior. Class is officially in session. Today, my guest lecturer is Davon Christopher Johnson. He is the founder and CEO of Blue Life Media Group Incorporated. With a master's degree in journalism from Harvard University, he's crafting a media empire with a global reach and a mandate of inclusivity and diversity. Welcome to Model Behavior, Davon Christopher Johnson.
Hey.
Hey,
wow, I never heard it. I never heard it back.
It sounds good, doesn't
sounds
it?
Good. Sounds good.
You look good. I like the hat.
Thank you. It's my new little hat from Gorin Brothers. So thank you.
So you guys don't know, but I had Davon on before. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, and we wound up not even recording that wonderful episode that we did. So I brought him back.
All good.
And we're going to talk about
I got
you.
A new hat,
yes,
so.
You do, and you look great.
So thank you.
So we're going to talk about you and all that you do.
Yes, thank you.
Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
You have an entrepreneurial spirit, of course, and I want to know how you got that.
Yeah, let me try to remember what we talked about before. But I will say that I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
My mom used to go to BJ's and buy a big jar of lollipops, and I would take those lollipops and sell them in school for a profit. She didn't know I was doing this, but I was doing it. She found out, and she laughed. She yelled at first, but then she laughed, and it was funny. So did that. I had a lemonade stand, like all the corny little suburban stuff you do. After that, a paper route. I employed all the people in my neighborhood to work under me, including some of my cousins. From there, I started a production company, and we would do photo shoots and birthday parties and all type of things for neighborhood kids, my mom's coworkers, her friends, bar mitzvah, sweet 16s, the whole thing. I didn't DJ, but my friends knew how to DJ, so I kind of put them together and said, yo, we can make a business out of this. And we did that for several years, like all through my high school time. And after that, in college, I had a 1-900 number. Like you would call 1-900, speak to whoever. I wouldn't say a sex line, but it was just like a conversation.
A chat line.
Yeah. I did that using my grandmother's credit card.
Oh, my.
She found that out a little later on to pay for that. So, yeah, I've always
But were these things successful? Were they profitable for you?
They were all profitable. I've never not had a successful business. They didn't always last a long time. I think some of the fun and the allure went away. For me, it's more about the get as opposed to, like, sustaining for a long time, having something. Mm-hmm. I like change often, which is why I always reinvent the Blue mantra, because I want to make sure that I don't lose interest in this company that's been like my legacy brand, which is Blue.
Okay, so you said the Blue mantra. Let's just stay in that direction.
All right, let's do
What
it.
is that?
So Blue is all about the men of color, specifically black men, how they express themselves and their touch points through fashion, travel, and culture.
Okay.
Yeah. So we started as a single publication in my living room in Harlem with some friends over some, I think it was Kettle One at the time. We might have been broke, so it could have been Absolute. I don't know. I think Kettle One, some vodka cranberries, and started a magazine. From that, we've grown to a full-service boutique media company. We produce print, digital, experiential for web and for print.
Now, I worked all my life in publishing. That's
Yes.
what I did. So I know that print publication, which I love, is on the decline.
So it's on the decline for a couple of reasons. And just to say, we're not on a decline. And a lot of magazines like us, niche magazines, are actually on the rise because I think before, a lot of the big publishing houses were very greedy. So they had a bunch of multiple category, single category, multiple extensions. So you'd have 5 bride magazines. So basically, you're saturating all the advertising dollars to this one publishing house with the same message. They were being greedy. They were like, oh, well, give me, instead of 1 ad page, I want 10 ad pages. So they had to downsize those. So the downsizing isn't so much that magazines are going away and people aren't reading anymore and they're not important to people, not important to culture. It's just that you don't need the repetitiveness and one publishing house. So I think there's going to be a new growth and a new wave of great, amazing photography, cultural, lifestyle publications, and print and digital also coming out over the next couple of years.
So do you think that independent is the way to go?
Independent's the way to go, and it's the only way I could go. So I was crazy, at the time to start a magazine. This is 2006, 2007 when we were launching, and magazines at that point began to decline, but the economy wasn't doing good, right? So when people buy magazines because they have extra money, right? They're not. You don't need a magazine to live and survive. But if you have the time, the free time, and the available cash, you're going to buy the extra things. You're going to get the whipped cream on the ice cream cone. You're going to get the magazine. You're going to, I don't know, put super gas in your car instead of putting regular in. At the time, the economy wasn't doing good, so people weren't spending money as much on magazines and entertainment. So that's the reason why there was a little bit of a shift. But we luckily found an angel investor at the time that believed not just in the product, but also believed in me and my passion. Because investors usually invest in people. They often go into it knowing that perhaps their investment is going to lose, but they have so much money, that's why they are investors, because they're trying to find ways to diversify. So they're investing in people. And I'm determined and I'm focused, and 10 years later, we're still here. So obviously it worked.
And you've had growth?
We have growth year over year. We've never been in the red. We've always been in the black. But we also only spend what we make. So I'm not out here trying to impress anybody. I'm not out here trying to do some crazy, elaborate marketing to convince people that I'm just as good as, say, a Condé Nast or a Hearst Publishing. For me, it's like if you believe in what we're doing and believe in what my mission is and who my audience is, you're gonna tap into Blue. I don't need to give you a bunch of gimmicks and tricks. I'm going to give you good content. So all our money goes back into content.
That's key.
Yeah.
Because if I don't want to read it, I'm not going to buy it.
You're not going to buy it. So that's been part of our DNA from the beginning, making sure that we stay true to our core and showing black men specifically in a positive light in media.
Okay. Now you also said that you don't you like to keep it fresh, and because you don't want to get bored.
Yes.
So how have you been keeping this idea fresh?
Well, right now this is a new cover design. So we've actually made our logo smaller. It used to be full photo. Bigger logo, and that kind of took away from the photo. For me, it's like, let's go back to what we talked about, and that's going back to showing black men in media in a diverse way, because white men get to see themselves diverse all the time.
Absolutely.
There's all type of white men on TV, on print magazines, in life in general. So I wanted to show that. So for me, we took away the blue, right? So blue, the logo is one thing, but it's what's behind the logo, and what's behind the logo is putting positive representation of black men. Now
you also have you've expanded to include women.
Yeah, so I have a brand called Bombshell, Bombshell by Blue. So Bombshell is a play on words. When people think of Bombshell, they think of physical attributes, which those things are there. But we're all about you're beautiful because you're smart. So you're brilliant, you're bold. And you're beautiful, and that's what Bombshell stands for. We've been doing that for about 2 years now. We've had 24 covers, and that's a digital platform. Twice a year we do a print version of that for marketing and promotional tools. But so that new thing that we do, that's our digital expansion, right? So Blue's DNA has always been, its core has always been print. So print leads with Blue. For Bombshell, we found an audience digitally, so that the growth is in digital.
Okay. So, but there's also something else that you're doing that, if I'm not mistaken, you told me about the last.
Yeah. So I told you about we're launching in 2018 men's grooming box targeted towards men of color, right? So specifically college age guys, right? So a lot of brands, luckily for us, for Blue, just to bring it back a little bit, we've worked with a brand called Nivea Men for a very long time, and they've been very supportive in our initiatives and our grooming pages, and supportive of our events. And I realized that a lot of black men kind of just have the same routine. Facial routine, grooming routine that they had since they were a little boy, or when they watched their dad do whatever their mom did, and they haven't quite tried other products. So we're now providing opportunity for brands that want to reach this black male consumer directly to them. So you can provide samples in our subscription box. It's called Beau Box, B-E-A-U-X box. So we're French, Beau. Blue is French, blue. Beau Box. You can sign up. It's beaubox.co, and it's a subscription every 2 months. We'll send you, 5 to 8 products you can try out, and hopefully you like them, and you'll go to the pharmacy and you'll buy that product or order directly from that brand. But there's no other way for a brand to reach you if they don't know you exist, and we're helping show brands that you exist.
And how did you? Is this your idea?
Yeah.
How did you come up with that?
I don't know. It's just one of those things where, I always think I'm never off. I'm always on. So everything I do in life, every walk, every step I take, every place I go, it's a clue. How can I improve that thing, or how could I make that thing better, or if I could do this another way, how could I do it? So everything I do, if I'm walking down the street, and I'm like, oh, okay, I made a left and a right. Well, what if I came from downtown? How would I get there? I'm always calculating a better route, a better reason, a better way to what I'm doing. So just for the grooming side, my friends kept coming to my house and borrowing my Nivea products. And I'm like, okay, well, I just get your own. Or like, I'll have a friend like that move away and say, oh, send me a box of that Nivea stuff you have. And I'm like, well, no, we need to figure out a way to solve that. So, you start businesses, either you improve something or you find a solution to a problem. And that's my solution to a problem.
Okay, so you're also,
yes,
you've had the chicken business.
Yes, I was in the chicken business.
When I first met you, that's what you were doing.
I was in the chicken business. Bleu was in his infant stages, and I was with a group of friends. We opened up the first chicken franchise for Atomic Wings up in Harlem. So they had never gone above Upper East Side because they didn't see a value in the consumer above Upper East Side. And I presented with them like, no, you know what? I just moved to Harlem. There's this huge renaissance going on. Right now, everyone's getting chicken wings from the Chinese spot, like these horrible grade D, feathers on it wings. But there's an audience there. There's a consumer there. And I convinced them to give us a franchise. Some group of friends of mine from high school and in college pooled our money together and bought the location and opened the chicken spot up. We sold lots of wings, and it was amazing, but it's a lot of work, and that's just a franchise, and it's small. I give respect and kudos to anyone that owns a restaurant because you have to be there. So oftentimes when someone quits, doesn't show up, orders late, deliveries late, whatever, I was in the back frying chicken, and I'm coming home smelling like chicken. I'm going to industry events smelling like chicken. I'm like,
but you had partners. Where were your partners?
I had partners, and it's one of those things, one of the lessons that I learned in doing partnerships. Not every friend can be a partner, and not every partner can be a friend. And in this situation, the partnership just wasn't the right formula for this to be successful. Mm-hmm. So we ended up selling the business for break even. So again, it wasn't a loss because it's still there. Mm-hmm. I still consult with the new owner, and we just were hanging out last week. Something just flew off. So excited. Met with the owner last week, and I consulted with him, and it's still there. It's a great idea, right? So it's a great idea to do this. It just wasn't the right idea for that group of guys. So I wish them all the best, and I think they're all great people, and I hope they're doing great things. But it just wasn't for me.
Is it something you think you would pursue later on?
As an investor, I definitely would invest.
You're just not going to be back behind the counter cooking.
Back there. No, I would find someone that's passionate about cooking food. Mm-hmm. I'm not passionate about cooking food. I love eating food. I love going to restaurants. I love food being cooked for me, but I'm not passionate about cooking food. So therefore, I would invest in someone that has that passion and has a great idea, and then they pursue it.
Now, franchising, I've always been interested in that. So what sort of investment are we talking about to start?
So, it's a couple of tens of thousands, so it's not a lot. You probably under $100,000, you can get a good franchise going. You can get Inc. magazine, Entrepreneurial magazine, and see in the back all their best-rated franchise opportunities, from cleaning businesses to food restaurants to office supply companies or whatever. They're good because there's this built-in marketing because it's a brand that's recognized already. Mm-hmm. They tried things out already. They got costs down to cost of cabinets and refrigeration and floors and chairs. So those things are great. But I do see some of the most successful restaurants are concepts. So the people who come up with a concept on their own, whether it's a wine bar or it's kale infusion or Brussels sprout specialties. And get the right investment, find a great location. That's
the most important thing.
Most important thing. You need to have your audience come there. There's some food that's destinations. I know up in Harlem we have Cecil that kind of changed their menu, and it's once again a destination for people to come to. Sylvia is a destination. Mm-hmm. Red Rooster is a destination. So those are rarities, but that can happen. In a city like New York, we have 8 million people here. You're going to get people walking by your restaurant. But if you're someplace else that may not have as many people, foot traffic, you want to find the right location, whether it's by, a grocery spot or a shopping mall or, a flea market or something. You need to be where the people are.
Now, let's say that you've decided that this franchising thing is something you want to look at. What do you need to know before you even get into that?
Well, know your fees, right? Because you have to pay the corporate franchise company a percentage of what you make, no matter what, and they get that off the top. So you have to think about that. You have to think about if you are physically able to be in the space, and if that menu that's required by the franchisor, that you can modify that or you can't modify it to fit your customer base. So there's a lot of rules. So it's easier in a sense, like the barrier to entry is a little easier, but there's a lot more rules because it's not it's your business, but it's their brand.
But it's not your business.
But it's not your business. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. So now what do you? Now I was just at your awards.
Yes. Yes, you were at the second annual Bleu Maverick Awards, presented by Nivea.
It was fabulous.
Thank you.
I had a great time. I really did.
Yes, it's the one social event outside of church functions that my grandmother comes to. She looks forward to it. She'll be 90 in a couple of weeks,
God bless her. Yes.
She comes out, for the second year in a row and talks about it all year to her friends. So I wanted to celebrate Black men. I think that at this time, in this political climate, in this police climate, in this violent climate, Black men aren't celebrated enough, right? So we get support when we go to jail, right? So it's like, when you come out, we're gonna help you out and do all these things for you. But what if we celebrate us before that,
yeah,
right?
Help you not get
Help
in.
me not go to jail.
Yeah.
And that's something that's always frustrated me. And no offense to women, but I think women have a lot of support. I'm not saying it's easy. The glass ceiling is definitely there, but there's a lot more initiative on the front end to try to help women, right? But for Black men specifically, we get lumped into the men group, but we're not white men, so we don't have the privilege that white men in America have. So in order to, my little anecdote to that is try to provide a space where I'm celebrating Black men that are accomplishing things in fashion, travel, business, media, and I celebrated Spencer Means. Huge real estate power player here in New York City. Chris Chambers, he's a media and entertainment guru that's been around from Clive Davis to now working on his own, his old agency, the Chamber Group. And Ty Hunter, who I met, when I met him before knowing that he was the head stylist for Beyonce and Destiny's Child. And now he's gone on to help more than 50 brands with their branding and commercials and product development. And he has his own products also. And I wanted to show that because these are people that I see like behind closed doors, but I wanted to open the doors so other people can see it also.
That's how I got this concept for this show.
Well, there we have
so I can bring my friends on and
that's what it's all about.
Talk about how wonderful they are. Because they're successful, but they might be right up under the radar, so the masses don't know them yet.
We tend to, in non-Black owned media, we tend to only celebrate the athletes and musicians, right? And we celebrate them once they're platinum or once they've got a Super Bowl ring. But we're not telling the journey to get to that point. We're not telling the amount of hours of discipline and practice and the things they sacrifice to get to that place. And those principles apply to business also. And I think I don't want people to think I'm negative against athletes and musicians because I'm all for that also. What I'm against is the narrative that's told about them. We only see them on one side of it, but not the true business principles behind it. Each athlete's a business. They're a business within themselves. They're being traded and they're getting paid and they're endorsing products. They're a business. Musicians the same way. They're a product themselves.
Yeah, I could go in a whole different direction with this conversation and the lack of financial education that they get, which pushed them right back at the beginning, at the end of their careers. But I'm not going to digress and go off topic. So now, what goes into the selection of the awardees for these awards? Yeah,
so for me, right now it's pretty easy for me because most of these people are my friends. I've been afforded a great opportunity to meet some amazing Black males, Black women, and Black men. So we celebrate each other all the time, and I wanted to celebrate them on the outside. But I ask around. I ask, my friends, hey, who do you think we should honor this year? Who do you think deserves this? Who should be highlighted? Who's under the radar? Like you said, we all know all the work and that they put into it, but the masses may not know. So who should we bring in? So last year I did Emil Wilbekin, who was editor-in-chief of Vibe, first LGBT out person in hip-hop at the time. He's gone on to found a new company called Native Son, an activist group, an organization. So I celebrate him because he was the first one to believe in the product, to believe in Blue. Remember, everyone said, don't do this. Magazines are folding. It's not going to work. You shouldn't do it. Then I went to him and I said, hey, you're a leader in media. Should I do this? He's like, hell yeah, you definitely should do this. Whether it works or doesn't work, you're going to kick yourself for not trying to do it, right? So we gave him the award the first year, and it got such a great response to that I opened up to 3 people this year. So we're going to do 3 again next year.
Okay, now I'm going to, of course, I got my own stuff I'm leading up to. Now, how do you, the writing, because writing in magazines, even in Playboy magazine, if the article is good, I don't really care about what the magazine is ultimately about. I just like reading really interesting stuff. So how do you select the writers that you have writing for Bleu?
For us, it's a balance, right? So I think that people, because of digital and social media, are used to, we're image-focused population right now. We lead with images. So we try to make sure our photos are bold or have a statement. Make sure our words are savvy. We're not giving you long, 2,000, 3,000 word essays. We're not doing that. There's Google for that if you want more information. But what we do try to do is find a different angle, right? So let's say if other publications are doing Quincy, of course they're going to ask about his role on the show Star, right? That's like an easy, obvious thing to do. So for us, we take it outside of that. So we want to know, how many auditions did you go on? How many parts did you not get? What are your dreams after Star? What else do you do in your private life? So we're not just going to go with like what's popular. Yes, what's popular as a person in the public eye, but I want to tell a different side of the story. Because again, we have Google, so
yes, that's where I want to know about you.
Yeah,
and how you came to be.
It's the same thing with our travel section. So like if I go on go to a place, I'm doing a story on Detroit for the next issue, and of course you can Google the new stadium downtown, and you can Google Quicken Loans and Dan Gilbert, and you can Google those things, but how did you feel on the street? How did you feel when you met people who are new to the city and meet people who have been there in the city, and those who feel part of the new renaissance and those who feel on the sidelines and left out? And I want to tell that true story. And I try to reflect that in my own personal experiences, especially living in Harlem and moving there at a time when a lot was changing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you feel about?
It's interesting because I'm a transplant also, right? I'm from Long Island. I'm a college-educated business owner, 2 degrees, and I live in Harlem, and I do brunch on Saturdays, right? So I can be part of the problem also. But I'm aware I'm in a sacred place. I'm in a sacred land. I'm standing and living on shoulders of giants before me. So I pay homage to that all the time. So I do events in Harlem. I do articles about Harlem. I bring my friends from other parts of the city to Harlem. So I do my part in my small little bubble. Yeah, I'm not in politics, so I don't know how much I can move policy and help more people of color take a ownership stake in what's happening in Harlem. But what I can do culturally and make them aware and bring them up.
See, that was my next question, is to ask you if you were interested in politics, because you speak very passionately.
Yeah, so I think the problem with that is when you become a politician, you can't speak that passionately, right? So they're all passionate on the campaign trail, and then some, because of the powers that be, and you want to keep your position in office, you got to kind of play to the middle. It's hard to be one extreme or the other, or you'll get voted out. So I think for me, I can be an ally.
You get voted out for saying the things that need to be said? Because
there may be powers against you that are feeding a different narrative on the other side through advertising and fake news to get people against you.
That's what the problem is at its core.
That's the problem. And so people, you can speak truth, but who needs to hear it? Are they hearing it, or they're going to be, swerved out the way with some other messages that aren't true?
Yeah, we could talk about this one all day. Yeah, that's a conversation for a big bottle of wine.
A big bottle of wine, true.
So now, keeping it fresh, because you're always keeping it fresh, and I'm sure you done thought 10 years into the future already with your new ideas. What do you have planned for the future?
Yeah, for us, I mean, it's really growing the Bleu brand and becoming a full-service media company. So I have my eye on like a Viacom, CBS, Fox, the big players and what they've done.
So you want to grow your media group?
Yeah, I want to grow the media group. So actually, in 2018, we're actually launching the Blue Life Media Ventures, where we're going to start partnering with smaller brands and bringing them under the umbrella. I like what BET had done in the beginning, and I like what Essence was also, but I don't think filled their greatest potential because they got bought out too early. And they got bought out as a single platform, and they weren't able to bring brands with them, right? So for me, if I were to become a conglomerate and I had 10 brands under me, then I don't mind being sold, because I'm not just bringing myself. It's not a selfish move. I'm bringing 10 more people with me into the space. When Essence was purchased, it was just purchased Essence. It wasn't purchased with a bunch of other black-owned media companies. When BET was purchased by Viacom, it was just BET that was purchased. They launched Centric afterwards, but they launched Centric once they were already in-house with Viacom, so Viacom had a piece of that also. We need to have more ownership stake, not just in like real estate, but also in media and business, across all type of categories, before we necessarily sell ourselves to a larger company.
That's interesting. It's hard too.
Well, yeah, and what happens, they invest in a single voice, right? So you don't get to have, you get this monolithic voice as opposed to diverse voice, right? So instead of just buying Essence, like, oh, I got my black one, what about the other 10 other type of black women, right? Instead of BET, we got our black one. Well, what about other black audiences that may not even watch BET? They might not even watch shows in BET. What about those people? So I think we have to be careful when we see this bigger check and we go to take it. We have to figure out what we're leaving on the table when we take that check.
So now, Viacom has bought Essence.
Viacom bought BET.
BET, who bought Essence?
Time Inc. bought Essence.
So now what happens? I mean, and I should know this because I survived many a buyout. Do they get a say of how the magazine is shaped now, or do they leave it the way it is?
They say they leave it the way it is, but there's always administrative changes, right? So there's a hierarchy, right? And when you're bought by an investor, and I have an angel investor also. Luckily, it was an angel. It's not a Series A, Series B version, so add a little less rules on me, and I have a lot more control of my brand. I think I have 100% control of my brand. Mm-hmm. In those instances, and I don't want to speak on their deals because I wasn't in those rooms. You don't always have as much ownership anymore because there's a bottom line at that point. Mm-hmm. And are you performing? Are we getting the revenue from this brand extension that we thought we were going to get? Is the audience growing at the rate we wanted the audience to grow? So then
you take the risk of your stuff folding because it's not performing to the numbers that they want.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess you really don't care because you got your money now.
But is money enough? Is money enough?
Exactly.
And that's the question.
Or if you're true to your brand, you don't want to see it broken up like that.
Yeah, so it's that balance, right? You do want money, right? No one wants to be broke. You start a business to make money, right? Mm-hmm. Well, no, you start a business to fill a void, and you hope that it makes money. So I wanted to rephrase that. You don't start a business for money.
So that's a lesson you teach in there, because a lot of people start a business to get money.
And they're usually out of business within a year or two, because it's not about the money. If I started this for money, then I wouldn't have started this. I was making really great money working in the music industry to leave and start my own company. So you take a huge loss in doing it. It's a great sacrifice.
But what's the payoff for you?
Oh, I mean, I own my brand, and I own myself, and I own my time, which is most important, owning my time. So if I want to say, the next month, which I'm going to do, I'm taking off, I can take the next month off, and no one can tell me I can't do that, and no one can stop me.
Okay. Okay. So now I sent you a Facebook message right after I went to the awards thing. Clearly, you didn't read it.
I read Facebook once a week.
Because you didn't understand where my segue was going.
Sorry.
So
I was still hungover, probably. I don't know.
I write.
All right.
And what I sent you, I was like, so how can I write for one of your magazines?
Oh, hey.
How we do that? How do you?
Let's figure it out. You can email me at the general Blue email. It's info@bluelife.com, BLEULIFE.com, or just DM me on Facebook. I'm on, but I'm on Instagram a lot more.
Okay. And while we're talking about that, how can people reach you?
Oh, my Instagram is DeVonisBleu, so it's DEVONISBLEU, and that's on Facebook and that's Twitter.
You got any last words? You hear the music coming in.
Yeah, I think just follow your dreams, follow your passion, find a passion, and what you're passionate about. If you hate your job, what you love, try to make that a business, and you never know what it could become. All
right, guys, we are just about out of time. I'd like to thank my guest, Davon Christopher Johnson, for sharing his industry knowledge with us today. Now, before I go, as always, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts. I want you to, 1, remember you can't change the game until you first learn the game. Always surround yourself with positive people and positive things. Do what you love and love what you do. And lastly, be who you are, but be who you are tastefully. Always have a little class about yourself. Now, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Thanks for watching Model Behavior, and I'll see you next week. Class is officially dismissed. Bye, y'all.